Hey guys, I am now in Manuel Antonio. Basically, planned heaven on earth. With the beach down there, with palm trees everywhere. So I have a funny story I want to share. In case someone wonders, Penny, why do you travel? What's the whole point of you traveling? What's your whole thing about it? Well, let me answer that. Hashtag things no one ever needed to know. So, as might not be too shocking for you, I have obviously been part of this sort of hippie community for years and identified as kind of a dangerous word, but you know, kind of identified with that movement. And it may seem strange, but traveling for me has never really been anything else but that. It's never been like a vacation thing. It's never been a sort of let me just go out and have ego pleasures thing. It's obviously never been like a luxury thing. But what it has been, like I said before, part of that hippie movement culture. And that's why I've always stayed a long time in every place. I've stayed 8 months in India. I did one trip to Nepal to renew my visa. I've done, 3 months in Ecuador. I always do minimum 3 months, but in South America I have been moving more quickly because some things went wrong in Peru. It's a story for another video, but some stuff went wrong in Peru. Some stuff actually went wrong in Ecuador as well. So in Costa Rica, I've stayed long though, but in those other places in South America, I've moved pretty quickly compared to what I do normally. But long story short, but that's pretty much it. So to summarize what my travels are about, I would say, yeah, it originated from the hippie community, but it has become like an art form of trying to, you know, live as pleasurably as I can without necessarily traveling too much, but still staying within the confines of whatever traveling means. There's some things you have to live with, like visa runs, and at some point there's probably going to be some kind of exhaustion. But staying in one place, particularly in Europe, doesn't really allow you to live as profoundly and spiritually as I personally wish to do. So though I don't like to travel that fast, I still appreciate the getting to see the world, but at the same time staying as long as possible in one place and almost living, except you have to do those runs sometimes. But yeah, I'd rather live somewhere perfect, you know. But that's not always the reality. Sometimes you have to just accept that. So to put it as simply as possible, I do the same as a lot of other people do, which is, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I know a lot of other hippies do the same thing, but pretty much try to live more spiritually in a, you know, tropical place with more, you know, spiritual values and beautiful. And trying to live more harmoniously in a happier culture or cultures, and hopefully eventually settle down somewhere more stable. But you know, trying to expand the way you're living in a more healthy way for all, but at the same time, you know, you are surrounded with a lot of, you know, vacation people and travelers who maybe not really, who aren't maybe so much into the same values as you are, and they maybe are not traveling spiritually. But that's the compromise among thousands of other compromises. But it doesn't change my original intention for traveling, which is what I'm sharing right now, is why am I actually traveling? What's it really for? So you can really say that actually it's not really that much for traveling. It's more for just living more spiritually, and that's a very simple reason, I feel like. So sometimes I feel awkward explaining to people why. And I know it's just kind of like a choice, like maybe just words that we're playing with now, but I feel like the traveling isn't really the right description for someone who is actually staying that long in a place. I feel like I'm just living, and it's not really my intention to travel. I don't know if I like traveling, but I do realize that this is just like, Danny, what are you doing? It's just a play of words, like same, and I think so. Another thing, fear of traveling, something I've been thinking about today, because I started just, you know, walking around wherever I am for hours, just walking, and sometimes I use the map, but like now I'm not using the map, I'm just walking and I'm talking and vlogging meanwhile. So it's kind of funny, because looking back I used to be more like, oh, I'm gonna get robbed or something, and I was just at the bank, and yeah, I would always be kind of more on edge, and now I almost don't really care that much. So that's kind of weird, but you just get used to it, I guess. But it's still kind of funny looking back and forward and whatever direction you're looking, to just sort of think about how we all kind of are constantly on edge when we're traveling, and really there's no reason to do so. Like right now I'm walking around and nobody's trying to hurt me or like cause any trouble, and it's daylight, you know. So something I always say to people is, how is someone gonna rob me in the daylight? Because there's people all around, and even right here where there's no people, like if you want to rob me, you have to like assault me. And if you want to assault me, I mean, goddamn, like you have to be either like a really quick pickpocket kind of guy, or you have to have a gun or something. And I mean, that's not really something that people have here, unless they're just like psychos. And it's just, I mean, all I can say is just that's not really gonna happen. And you can, oh, there's an iguana there. Yeah, so this is just not really gonna happen here. Also, vlogging is a pretty good idea for that, because if you're filming, maybe someone is not really gonna do anything criminal, you know. So to build on what we were talking about before, I think that a lot of people are pretending, like, especially YouTubers, vloggers, travelers, often pretending that, and me too, I'm guilty of this, but pretending that, you know, traveling doesn't involve any risks. I think this is such bull. Of course it has risks. It has tons of risks. But not anything you would really consider being a risk. Like I said, it's safe and stuff, but what risks are there is economical risk. Like you could end up with risks of money, those kind of risks. probably a million that I haven't even thought of. Well, I'm sure I have thought of it. But yeah, it is my personal goal, which is good because then I know what I want to do with it. It just takes time because, as we all know, paperwork, oh my god, paperwork is a hassle. If you want to move anywhere, it's a hassle and it's not easy. Which is why people do the legal border runs for years. And you do that until, well, some people do that forever, until the rules change. But a lot of people, they do that for a couple of years, and then if they have decided what they want to do, then they eventually fill out the paperwork.